Okay, it's on heavy heart that I've had to make a video about this particular subject matter, and it's in regard of Xbox. Now, for those of you who've seen my video, something like a 30-second video in regard of Xbox, and maybe seen it on my social media page on Twitter, would have seen what what the problem was, and it's not about me being anti-Xbox, because I love all the consoles, whether it's Nintendo and Sony, and obviously Xbox. Xbox, I only got into it the last couple of years because my nephew got me an Xbox One S, and then later on the Series X, and I've enjoyed the console very much in terms of what the console does, what it provides, the joypad, things like Game Pass. A lot of the games that I never obviously grew up with, like say the Halo, Gears of War series, that I've only obviously catching up on now, and then obviously games like the Forza Horizon and the Forza Motorsport, and it's one of them things where I would see other Xbox people playing those kind of games, and I really wanted to sit there and expand my horizon from not only Nintendo and Sony but Microsoft, but to Microsoft, because obviously some games are multi-platform. Each of the systems have their own unique games. So like obviously Nintendo's got the Mario and Zelda and Metroid and Kirby and whatnot, and the Mario Kart games, and etc. etc. And then you've got Sony where you've got the Killzone, Uncharted, the Horizon, and God of War. So each of the systems have got something to offer. So for me, I'm not one of these fanboys or shills that's going to fanboy to a company. I mean, they all got positive things to offer. They all got negative things that they've got to offer. And in regards of Microsoft, the problem that I've had, well, there's actually two actual ones. It's been with redeeming the Game Pass code, and I don't know why it kind of behaves like that. Now, firstly, obviously I got obviously the code, and normally what you would do is that you would go into the little section and you would input the code. Now, if there's a problem with the code, or it's been used, or there's an error of it, you usually obviously get a message telling you otherwise, whether it's an error or the code doesn't work or it's already been redeemed. So, that's another problem for another day. Anyway, whenever I input the codes and do that, it works fine. And then what you have to do is that you have to put in your billing details and your card details, because what they normally do, because depending on whether or not your subscription is a month, 3 months, or even 12 months, it has an option where you can reoccur the actual billing, right? Which I don't do. When it normally works perfectly, I just go into my settings and then I just turn off the reoccurring billing, because for me it's kind of cheaper to kind of get the actual codes, and then once I do that, I delete the billing, because obviously what happened with Sony that time with the on the PS3, I've got a tendency not to keep my I try not to keep my billing information on there, because I don't care how well they say their stuff is encrypted. I don't kind of believe them. I mean, look at what I've had with Apple, where I've had my iPhone, and then the next minute you get messages saying, "Oh, your safe passwords may be in problems, so you basically have to change everything." And then yet they claim that it's meant to be unbreakable, or have all these issues. But anyway, so I put in the code, and then obviously it asks you to put your billing details and your address and whatnot, and then you get back to the screen, which you may have seen on the video, where you got two options, where it says to basically to claim, or on the left hand side it says to cancel. So there could be a problem with it, and you just press to cancel. So I go to claim, and then it just kind of, and then what happens is that it just freezes up, and then it does that, and it does absolutely nothing. And then when you try to back out, You try to cancel it and maybe try it again. It's the same problem that I've noticed. And then I did it another way, and then it actually let me claim the actual thing. And then, as you can see from the video, it was just buffering. So it was just based on, obviously the video was only 30 seconds, but I left it a lot longer than that and it still wasn't working. And then in the end, I just had to restart the machine. Now, I've had this problem. Now, when I first had the Xbox Series X, and I've been putting in codes, whether it's been like developers or publishers or developers, whatever you want them, giving me codes for games or entering the actual Game Pass code, it's worked perfectly fine. It's only maybe in the last 6 months I've been having problems with it, and I've even tried it on my Xbox One S, and it's exactly the same problems. Now, Xbox support to me are a bit crap, because yes, I know that they probably have they get asked a lot of questions on subject matter, so it's hard to, you know, for them to get through to everybody at such a immediately. But what I don't like, especially on Twitter, is when you kind of do it, and then when you go into the DM, because it's maybe something personal or long that you want to talk, because obviously there's a character restriction on Twitter. So in DMs, you have that problem. You get like the automated response, which is kind of annoying. So anyway, I told them what happened, and then they never responded. And then I kept complaining on Twitter open and putting hashtag in them. And then eventually they got through to me. And then when this happened before, I said it didn't work. So what I did was I used the browser, and then I added in the code like that, and it worked. So then they got back to me and they said to me, "Oh, did you get it to work? Or is it working? Or have you fixed the issue?" And I said, "No." I said, "I had to do it via the browser." And then I said, the problem is, I don't know whether it's been fixed or, because they told me to power cycle the machine, which best you kind of force quit it and then reboot it. And I said to them, "Look, I'm not gonna know if the next code is gonna work, if this is gonna work, because I'm gonna have to wait for that particular Game Pass thing to expire before I can try it again." And obviously I tried it with this time around, because I did it today. And then when I was talking to them yesterday, which would have been on the 6th, I told them what happened, and didn't get any error code, and I told them this has been happening before. And then they eventually got back to me and blah blah, and gave me all this claptrap about what I should do. Then they said to me, "Have you tried adding the code via a browser, whether you do it on your phone or computer, wherever it is that you have to sit there and do it?" And I said, "Well, no, I haven't." And I said to them, "I'm not being funny, but the console is designed for you to add codes via the actual machine." And then I said to them, "Yes, at least you've got the option to do that, but," I said, "it shouldn't be doing that." And I definitely don't think it's a hardware problem, because again, I tried it on the Xbox One S, and then I still had the same issue. So when I said to them, "Look, I don't think that's kind of good enough, because yes, you've got an option to do it now, a workaround," but I said it shouldn't be doing it, because it wasn't doing that like months and months before that. But I said to them, "Right, but like now it kind of is, and it shouldn't be doing that, and that's not a good enough solution, because you spend a lot of money." Well, I got given it, so I can't say anything. But people, to the average person, they get paid a lot of money. You pay a lot of money for that machine, and then it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it has an option for you to do that, and it doesn't work. And then they basically never replied back to me, which is a shocker, and that's poor customer service. What makes it even worse is that at least with Nintendo, even though their customer service isn't great, you can ring them to some degree, and you can email them. Same thing with Sony. And Sony, you can message them in some ways of getting through, and you can actually phone them. But with Microsoft, with Xbox, you can't phone them. I know you could before, but when I tried doing it before, when it first started happening, it didn't work. And what I find really stupid is that Xbox, on your mobile device, you can download a Game Pass app, and you can just download the Xbox app, and obviously they're two separate things. And what I find really stupid is that you've got a Game Pass app in there, right? And I don't understand why you can't redeem your code via the Game Pass app. I mean, I think that would be a lot, as long as you signed in and then you passed the security criteria. I don't see why they don't allow you to do that, which I think is a bit stupid. right? Another problem that I've had with the Game Pass app is that you can't, is that if your machine is off and then you've got Game Pass or you bought a game, you could download the game with the machine off. And I used to do that a lot with Game Pass. So if I was busy doing something and I don't want to turn the machine on, or if I'm going to go out, or if I'm out and about and I've got Wi-Fi connection, or your mobile usage, and then I got Game Pass, I'll just download a game. I would just download the game and then, you know, and then as soon as you switch the machine on, like a couple of hours later, you could then, you're ready to play the game, especially if it's a large amount of storage that, you know, like that you kind of have to do. But now, for some bizarre reason, it doesn't work. So when you try to download a game via the Game Pass app, you get a message, you get an error telling you that it's unable to do it. So I don't know what's going on. So as I said before, I'm really kind of disappointed in Xbox customer service, because as I said before, when it was all working properly, it was fantastic. You could redeem your code via the machine, download your games via the app, and then what I find a bit kind of disappointing is the fact that I've looked on the official Xbox forums and other things regarding the problem with redeeming a Game Pass code, and there's loads of other people that have had exactly the same issues as what I've had. So you would have thought that with obviously, especially on the official one forum, that it's something that they would have looked into and said, right, we're gonna fix it. Still a problem with EA, with the EA app, EA Play app, where you can get the FIFA 23 trial, 10-hour trial for the Series X or the Series S. And there's this error where you try to sit there and you try to play the game before you get 10 hours. It doesn't validate the code, so it doesn't work. And then a couple of times I tried to get through via the on a social media site, EA Plays, in regards of the game couldn't get to work, and I looked on the site and then there were other problems with it not actually working. And eventually EA on social media did get back to me and said to me that they are aware of the problem and they're working on it, and to keep an update on their page to see whether I updated it. Now, whether or not they've actually fixed it or not, I don't know, because eventually I got the trial FIFA 23 for the PS5. I ended up getting the EA app for 79p, which again, that does reoccur. I turned that off, and then on the PS5 it works perfectly fine, but it just doesn't work on the Series X, and I don't know if they fixed it. I might download it later at some point and then see if I can actually see if they have fixed it. But at least, regardless of the fact whether or not they have fixed it or not, at least they are aware of the problem, and then they've, you know, they've turned around and said, look, right, we're aware of it, and we're working it. With Xbox, as I said before, this seems to be a common problem, as I said before, because if you look it up on their official forum, and on other unofficial forums where it's a big problem, and you'd think that Xbox would look into it, or there was a way that you could actually even email the customer services and then maybe discuss it to them in email, or better yet, be able to ring them and actually talk to somebody, and then they would be able to look into it. But I'm not getting any joy. So in the end, what I've had to do is I've had to go down the route of adding the Game Pass Ultimate via my browser, and it worked perfectly fine, which to me, as I said before, is absolutely flipping odd. And that's why for me, as I said before, don't like complaining about game companies. Not something that I like to do, but I don't care how big a company is, even if it's something that I like. If I feel that they're worthy of criticism, then I'm going to make it. I'm not going to pander just because I like that company. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about something for the sake of complaining about something. If I deem it as being a big problem, and then as a customer, you kind of expect a better service from that company, then I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna complain. And then you like to hope that the company takes it above board and then tries to rectify the actual problem. You could argue it's a similar problem with Nintendo and the Joy-Cons and the problems with that. And then the problem what would have been a good faith to the customers was they look into it, and then if there's an issue in it, you then send it back for them to sit there to repair it free of charge, even if it's over the warranty of the actual machine, because it's them that's made the problem defective in the first place. And as a sign of goodwill, you fix it for, okay, we'll take it on the chin, there's a problem with the thing, so what we'll do is that we'll try and fix it. And I wish some of these companies would do that.